All right, you guys, welcome to another Lone Wolf Pack program. We're going to show you guys some more stuff on the oaths of office today, and I welcome you guys for that. So let me get to where you can see this. I guess this is what we waited for, right? So welcome, everybody. I'm going to move some things around here because I have some really bad lighting going on. But my name is Patrick, and I'm your host today on another journey into the Albany remand. And that's kind of what I'm going to speak on again is the Albany remand, because there was a lot of things that, well, we talked about yesterday, and that was on, I believe I went into Doc 39 or 32, or no, actually I didn't go into 32. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. I'm going to show you Doc 32 of the Albany remand. So this is an interesting document in itself, because this document was actually an allegation, a claim to have canceled the inauguration of President Trump. And I'm going to show you guys let me present this. I'm going to share the screen with you. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is the original. This was the original document that was put on that I originally joined into. Okay, so this was the notice under. Let me get into highlighting again. All right, cool. And actually, I'm going to change up the color. I'm going to make it a red. So I'm going to try to underline. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can change this. Okay, so there we go. We can do that. I can do that. So you guys can still see it, and it's not too dark. So this is the case number. It's 18MC7, okay? So this is the document number, and this is pacer.gov. Okay, you guys can go on Pacer. It was filed in November 26th of 2018. While all this stuff was going on, while all these things were happening, crazy. It was crazy. Like, everything was happening so fast. This was done in Albany, New York. And the notice was to the rectified Scottish Rite Freemasonry and the Imperial Dragon Sovereignty Nephilim bloodline. So it was an entire bloodline that was giving notice to. So this was David Merrill originally created this, but what happened was David gave me the documents and told me to add mine in, and I put them in the same order, his first and mine second. So my stuff is inside of his stuff. And it's funny because this is exactly what he filed a long time ago, and I just refiled it once again, and I put my stamps on it, canceled my stamps, and they took it. They accepted it as I'm on the record. So it was done November 26, 2018. And so, again, it's the same greeting. David Merrill is getting he was a family of Van Pelt, he called himself the first redeemer. Demand is made for redemption of central banking currency and lawful money in all transactions. In other words, I'm not going to participate in fiat currency. It's under 12 U.S.C. 411 and Section 16 of the Federal Reserve Act, and services agent in service to the principal, and vice versa. So telling the clerk, file and publish the unsigned presentment of the administrative office of the United States courts properly refused for cause timely. Document 28 herein describes the disposition of the original and copied parties. Document 29 is true bill upon the Treasury through the General Counsel dishonor. Further corruption, right here, we're here, is tracking number. This tracking number never showed up online or the next day and was replaced by this tracking number. So what had happened is they were caught in opening the mail. And when they opened up the mail, they didn't have another tracking number. They couldn't use the same one. So they created another tracking number and sent it back. And it's been opened and repackaged after the contract, okay? This was the check that was written to a Michael Holman, okay? So this is somebody that's involved in this public record, okay? All of these documents, again, these are not it's not my private anything. This is a public record in document 32, and so is this. So this is all published into a case here, although it is someone's information on there. It is part of a federal case that is in Albany, New York, and there's a citation at the top, okay? So basically we were giving notice to all these agencies. David gave notice to all the agencies, okay? Now let's move on. The refund of the filing fee is $47. They went and filed the case and then published document 28. 29 wasn't published as of the signature in time, and date one presumes that the Treasury, through Agency Administrative Office, is attempting to cover up disappearing the refund. In other words, they lost it. Logic indicts the Treasury as attempting to delete the North Carolina evidence repository in alignment with Judge Lewis W. Flanagan, illegally attempting to shut down Michael Holman's self-actualization of court as a court of record. So it was order December 14, 2011, attached here to Exhibit A. The court construes the instant papers arising out of a prior case for which there is a pre-filing injunction. On this basis, the instant action is dismissed and the clerk is directed to return the filing fee paid to petitioner. So again, this is something that he didn't comprehend, because it wasn't anybody rejecting anything. It was they're still in a trust and they can't do anything in the trust. It might be difficult to comprehend why I find it so fetching to watch corruption covering for and self-protecting 16-month-old corruption writing its own bill of true indictment on the Treasury. We will find high schools named after Michael Holman in 25 years. Will we find? Here in this Albany remand, we find that Donald J. Trump was not actually the President of the United States because of the Department of Justice refuses to show publication of John Glover Roberts' oath of office. This is a true story. I'll show you the documents here. The court of record remains intact. I'm refusing for cause appointment affidavits and oaths of office of senior judicial officers as general recusal for lack of bond. Furthermore, I'm attaching default on acquiring any oath of office for Mr. John Glover Roberts, pretending to be Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Additionally, because Mr. Kavanaugh is in the news saying that former Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist is here, his hero and mentor about honor, I have attached Rehnquist's properly scribed oaths of office verbatim from the 1789 statutes at large for an example of proper bonding. Chief Justice Rehnquist was also careful to acquire proper bonding through the Office of Management and Budget, bond number 50-R0118. Recently, the Treasury has testified direct connection to the bond dodging by refunding Michael Holman's document 1, page 81 filing fee after 16 months from his local Eastern District, North Carolina evidence repositories in case number 17MC24 and formerly 08CV616. So from 2008, this has been going on. He's been doing this since that time. As demonstrated by the Office of the General Counsel of the Department of Justice, exigent circumstances. So that was one of the words we used yesterday, okay? Under maritime law and exigent circumstances, you can go to certain other sorts of proceedings, and that's kind of what they're doing. And it may be presumed I satisfy within this and many other documents in evidence any requirement finding of fact be provided for the record. Musical chairs juxtaposition, John M. Domurad for Lawrence K. Behrman for initial attempt to garnish Mnuchin and Trump, USA versus sealed defendant names. Now, that was another case that was created. They tried to cover up the case so that people couldn't see what the case was. And because it was just a lot of information in it. Now, again, they don't treat you like you're being honorable because, well, this is in dishonor according to what everything that's done. If you come with clean hands, then you can do stuff like this. But unfortunately, just saying we have clean hands doesn't cut it. And we have to know what happened either as well to fix it. So the DOJ finding no fault of bond dodging in senior suitor Christopher Jonathan, Doc 4, page 1, back to the same unbound judiciary is exemplary of all this absurdity. The inauguration is canceled for fraud, exigent circumstances, show court review impracticable. So how are you going to take something to a court when it doesn't exist? And if the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is missing his bond and his oath, then that's a problem. That's kind of a big problem, folks. Rule B1C has been met for any E4F hearing on this billing matter. Now, this is all just in maritime. This is a supplemental jurisdiction, okay, to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. This is a little bit of history, and this is something that I really admired that David did well. Quoting Clausen's commentaries on Morals and Dogma. Morals and Dogma is written by Clausen. Page 42, we in this life can never pursue the never-ending and exhilarating quest for human justice. So those of you guys that want to like end this and find justice for all, you know, I mean, we can pursue the never-ending and exhilarating quest. It's just saying it's never going to go away, folks. That's all it is. It's just never going to go away. It's here to stay. So from the introduction, note Albany and the Southern jurisdiction, okay? So Albany and the Southern jurisdiction is what they're saying. A proper foundation is in order. The secret minutes of the Jamaica-Rambouillet Accord on the amendments to the Bretton Woods Agreement would likely be very enlightening. So in other words, the minutes of testimony behind closed doors, whatever they were talking about to this accord in the Bretton Woods Agreement. Okay, so the Bretton Woods Agreement was something that was written a long time ago in Senate Report 94-1148, Public Law 94-564, in the State Department Bulletin, December 8th of 1975. Page 805, text the Declaration of Rambouillet, reference save a lot of space. The footnotes of any current Fed asset report finish the story. And you can look at, this is just it is a international summary statistics. It's not very clear, is it? Anyway, it's just a document taken from a website. So this is page 6. Scottish Rite Freemasonry is encouraged to associate the Clausen map with the Americans and French going into the secret to shift the U.S. dollar from the fixed exchange rate, gold, to the floating exchange rate, special drawing rights, SDRs, on paper gold, SDR basket. This sets a framework for understanding that endorsement of private credit from the Fed is voluntary, and while the Congress wrote in remedy of demanding lawful money. Title 12 United States Code Section 411. The General Counsel of the Department of Justice has taken 106 days recently to conclude, quote, you have also failed to prove any negligent or wrongful action on the part of a judicial officer or employee that could give rise to federal liability under state law. Consistently herein, this Albany remand and the Olympus ordeal, altered oaths of office are refused for cause. The only logical sense is to construe this as an admission by the Department of Justice that no federal judges are judicial officers. This brief history lesson summarizes why and how I have come to believe rectified Scottish Rite Freemasonry is an agency for global principle, the Western District, in fact, for the Imperial Dragon Court, and operates as principle in formation of American jurisprudence, especially regarding the obvious deviance in the oaths of all federal judges, excluding former Chief Justice Rehnquist. To determine how long this alteration of the federal judge oaths has been going on, I requested the oath of Justice Taney from Dred Scott decision from the Library of Congress and was promised response but only got silence after that promise. Does it exist, folks? Who knows? You be the judge. The internet is the byproduct of the 1933 gold seizure process through and by large China's investment in America's national debt, paid in gold and laundered, foiled into data silos and server farms, flowing like the cerebral spinal fluid, liquor into the ventricles communicating the code. Simply put, the internet is nothing but a widely shared interactive computer program. It is the brain and people are the thoughts. It is sad to think how many people squandered this opportunity to build the future in emotional Facebook social jet lag from bloviated stroking and attacking ego. What I would like for you, the reader, to consider is the exclusivity mutual ultimate of this wasted heat and emotional potential, redemption. That is put forth so not to threaten but to encourage that this is the opportunity Freemasonry as a custodian of the record in Levite priestcraft has been waiting for. I use the term foiled intentionally, not because gold deposited on silicon wafers and circuit boards is thinly foiled, but because the biblical fold around the wood of the golden calf may be the model FDR was using for the 1933 gold seizure. More on this to connect the dots will follow. But think it over to prepare yourself. Moses met with somebody on a smoky mountain while his son collected a large amount of gold from the Israelites below. Moses then shamed them for all his son's misdeeds and took the gold up the mountain and converted it to powder. Then this other party told the Israelites he might obliterate them for being stiff-necked, coercing them in fear to lay down any remaining gold at the base of the mountain. This bibliography will be sketchy because the history is distracting from the initial findings of fact being ignored by the Department of Defense. This is important, folks. I want you guys to pay attention to this right here, okay? This right here, this so help me God, okay? This is going to be crooked, I'm sorry, because I'm a little crooked too. All right. This so help me God on the form of oath prescribed by Congress in 1789, okay? So it was prescribed, okay? This is already something. So help me God, just like this. Exactly the way this is right now, okay? Just like this, okay? Just like this right here. You guys get it? I hope you get it. All right. What they've done is they've changed this to this. So help me God in all capital letters. Okay? I want to, I don't have it here, but I can show you. Chicago Manual of Style, the 16th edition, I believe. There is no English word in all capital letters. So this is symbolic of something else, not of saying, so help me God. In other words, they're avoiding and evading a witness, somebody that is needed to establish a fact. So it's not a fact, but it remains a fact until someone calls it out and says something. That's really what this comes down to. So I want to be honorable. That's all this is about. This is about keeping those that, if somebody wants me to do something, I'm going to have to be honorable doing it. If other people that I react and deal with are going to be doing stuff, then they have to follow the same rules I do. It's very simple. It's not I'm not admonishing anybody. I'm not telling you you're a bad dude or lady or anything like that. It's just you have the same rules I do. I'm not a victim of anything you've done or anything like that. I've discovered what's happened, and this is my remedy. This is how I'm going to resolve it. That's all. It's just fair. It's balancing the equities between the parties. So many federal judges have never qualified any bonding through the Office of Management and Budget because they require a certain documentation. You guys will look on an oath of office. Yesterday I showed you one. Let's see. No, I don't have it here. Yesterday I showed you guys one. Yeah, I don't have it readily. But anyways, we'll move on and I'll get to it here. But there's some really good books. Now, I'll tell you guys, when I was incarcerated, I read the Templar Revelation. This is really good. Okay? Cuz when I read that, I was like, this is bull. There's no way. They're saying that Jesus isn't I thought it was total garbage. And then the more I read it and read it and read it and read it and read it, it was like my buddy. I read that thing over and over, took notes and wrote all over the place. It was pretty cool, but it was a good learning experience. The Sword and the Grail, The True Discovery of America, that's a good book. The New York Freemasonry, that's actually a book that is cited here further. And The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, obviously cited here. The Courts in Freemasonry, The Making of the President, 1789. Starfire, and that tells, the Making of the President tells about how they created this so that we could have somebody that sat in a place. And then The Gold of the Gods by Sir Lawrence Gardner. So that's about the Dragon Court. That's the Imperial Dragon Court that's in Budapest, Hungary. That is the case that the filing that I have. I think that's in one of these. And you guys might even be reading, watching and reading some things that I personally had watched and went through myself. Some of these things that with the oath of office, you're going to see where, like, I haven't even seen some of these documents that have been filed, but I have downloaded them. So we're going to watch them together. So the history is insignificant besides a simple finding of facts. Altered oaths. An altered oath of office is no oath at all. Failure to swear or evasion of the bonding oath means that the office is vacant. To alter the oath in such a subtle manner is so that the layman will miss the change is fraud. In other words, to alter it in just a subtle way where you guys just see something, a very little thing, and you don't, like, it still says the same words, but no one picks up on the caponym, which is it's a symbol of something that has another meaning. It creates a new meaning of something, and that's a problem, okay? So the use of a caponym implies a hidden secret meaning to the alternation. I find it extraordinarily significant that the Alaskan federal judge, now this is going to be interesting too, you'll see this, the federal judge in this next case redacted the signature from the oath before he allowed the refusal for cause to be published on the Pacer, okay? See, this was refused. I want you to see right here, Timothy Burgess. Now, what happened was, this was they got the office, okay? They got the oath of office here, all right? They received the oath of office, and then they saw that it said, "So help me God" here, which is in all caps. So they refused it for cause, okay? Refused for cause. So then they sent it back to the court and told them to publish it this way, and before they would publish it, they blocked out the name. See where it says redacted? Redacted? They redacted the signature. He took it back. In other words, he got caught, and he said, "I don't mean it. I don't mean it this way." So he took it back, okay? And then you look, and he's the one that did the filing. You guys see that? He's the one that filed it. He took his own stuff. Look at this. Took his own stuff, his own document, and didn't want his own stuff in there, so he took his own document. He redacted the signature and then put it back into the public record. I mean, it is what it is, folks. Like, you guys can figure this stuff out too, right? You can see what I'm seeing. The inauguration is canceled as a fraud. Here in this Albany remand alone, 4 good faith attempts have been made to acquire the oath of office of alleged Chief Justice John Glover Roberts' oath of office. We tried, like we really did, folks. This is March 26th, okay? This isn't me, but this is somebody else in the same group that I was in, that we were just trying to find answers. Like, you know, I am, again, I wanted everyone to know that I am a private person. I'm a private and I'm a civilian. I'm not military jurisdiction at all. And so this, when I saw this, you know, it was a little bit like, I was like, okay, well, how did I feel? Let's talk about that. How did I feel? I felt like somebody pulled like the rug right out from under me. And I'll tell you why, because I was literally thinking there's no hope. There's no hope. Like, the guy at the top the only person that I think I can count on to hear my voice is not even there. And that kind of freaked me out. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. If people only knew. But people will panic, and it's not a panicking thing, guys. It's not, really, seriously. You just need to understand what it is, okay? They want people to panic, but you don't need to panic. It's not necessary. So this result, it says, while we are unable to locate the documents requested for Chief Justice Roberts, this does not mean the documents don't exist, nor does it mean that he's not duly authorized, nor does it mean that he's not an alien or is an alien, nor does it mean that he's a cross-dresser or not a cross-dresser, nor does it mean he has blue eyes or pink eye, or nor does it mean he wears diapers or thong underwear. It doesn't mean anything. Did you get that? This does not mean that the documents do not exist. It doesn't mean that they do. Nor does it mean that he's not duly authorized, nor does it mean that he is. Dr. Seuss is up in the house, guys. I'm telling you, he's up in the house in this deal. This is crazy. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so moving on. The Department of Justice is not the official repository for this type of record. Oh, no, no, no. The Department of Justice wouldn't hold oaths of office. Like, what? It just says that they do. Like, that's the Office of Management and Budget, because the DOJ is the Office of Information Policy, right? Oh, my gosh. This is just crazy how they do that. And then you notice, look, you guys notice this? Look, there's no signature on this document. You see that? You may contact this, and we're not going to leave anybody because no one sent this. A company sent it. We're not telling you anybody because now you're starting to ask questions that are kind of important, okay? This is a copy of the inauguration. Now, this is kind of interesting, and you guys can know this, but what this is if you look right here, I'm going to try to, you can see in the heads, I'm highlighting their heads, okay? You see that? See how it's getting, okay, so you see right now it's going down. There's a stamp on there, guys. You see that stamp right here? You can't see my cursor. I wish you could see my cursor. I don't think I have a thing where you guys can either. Let me look here. I might. There may be something. Who knows? All right, no, I don't see it. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there isn't. Maybe there is. Anyway, so this was a stamp that was done with David Merrill's State of Colorado apostille stamp. So there's another story behind that. I don't know. I'm not advertising. I'm just trying to say that, you know, this was a record that was made. It didn't change anything as far as I could see. So anyway, it's just information. Commission and inauguration canceled pursuant to law. Okay. Interestingly, science and technology open understanding keys for solving ancient mysteries like eat of my body and drink of my blood, even solving the true mystery of eternal life and the elusive fountain of youth. These keys are preserved in the Bible story itself. When the Holy Bible is read as a Mesopotamian history book of fables, the solutions to extraordinary and supernatural events attributed to God as a fear-invoking, judgmental tyrant might fall away. In other words, when you read the real meaning behind this stuff, the fear-mongering is gone. The alchemy of old is herein revealed as the sexual magic regenerating telomeres. This rendition of the truth reveals enhanced mysticomimetic neuropsychopharmacology by infusing colloidal gold directly into the cerebral spinal fluid, balancing the endocrine system for spiritual enlightenment and ascension. This is the pineal gland, folks. Early genetic engineering for genius intelligence is explained by demonstration of global conquest of the Israelite mind. Commercial priestcraft at its finest is revealing in this reading. This is the square right here at the bottom. You see this? The square, and then there's a square, and then this is the compass right here. You can't really see what I just outlined, but there's a compass. And the ephod and the square and compass tell the story. More importantly, this is a history lesson. Is the hat above the ephod is designed to fit over an elongated skull cap formed through genetic engineering for superior intelligence. They stretch the heads to try to make bigger brains. The human growth hormone 6-carboxytetrahydrocannabinol has been available by consuming human pituitary glands. So you guys have seen that. You've seen the, what do they call that? I know somebody's saying it right now. I can hear it. I just can't hear what it is. Say it louder. I'll think of it. And there's an important dot to connect. Fringe expansion of quantum physics elaborates on the similarity of dimethytryptamine and melatonin. Okay, so that's DMT. Lacolamine in acetyltransference and acetylserotonin, O-methyltransference are among the class of proteins. So let's just say ASMT. How about that? AANAT and ASMT are among the class of proteins that convert psychoactive hallucinogen, DMT, REM, dream time, random. So this is during your rapid eye movement, you have this dream time to deep dreamless sleep, many times in the sleepy night. We find that the restorative part of the night is between dreams. Melatonin cancels the psychotropic DMT to stop dreaming. During witching hour, there is no ego, no thoughts, no self-identification. So black is the melatonin, brown is the dimethyltryptamine. And then this is my depiction, describes as morning approaches. We generate the imaginative potential DMT to scribe or speak the word, creating the entire universe. The mind is all the universe is mental. Time and space are mutually agreed upon holographic construct. Once comprehended, this is obvious and intuitive. The patriarchal Christian religious interpretation of the Holy Bible and its canonizing have trapped even women into an imbalanced logic and reasoning synderesis. So, in other words, people believe, like, women don't even know what their original purpose was for because they've covered this stuff up. The male should be balanced by the female, as the Masonic esoteric is spelled from the beginning. This one might be better productive with the mental creative potential, the biblical taboo against blood, essentially warm menstruum, and its viable human fetal stem cell content has significantly shortened the human lifespan and exaggerated the fear of mortal death. People are scared to death of dying. But if you knew that you just came, like, if you knew that, like, hey, you're going to go on a journey and you're going to jump in this body for a little while and you're going to have stuff to do and experience, and don't be afraid because everyone's going to tell you to be afraid and they're going to try to scare the crap out of you, and just ignore it. You need to just go and be a creator. And you don't remember that briefing and now you're where you are. Well, that's where you need to wake up and say, hey, you know what? I remember this. I remember this. I know why I'm here. I'm here for a reason. So this is an actual elongated skull here that's in the New York history. I'll show you here in just a second. So gigantism and the genetically engineered genius. Okay. So they were genetically engineering this stuff long time ago. Before returning to oath issues, there's another important dot to connect about Mesopotamian history in the King James Scottish Rite Bible. The smoke on the mountain in the Moses fables was burning sulfur down to vitriol, sulfuric acid, to generate direct current, DC electricity. It was a battery, folks. This factoid is founded in the 2-volt lead-copper Baghdad battery. The battery was used to generate electrolysis and reduce the golden calf into powder, just as the Bible says. The powdered colloidal gold infused into the third ventricle, the aqueduct of Sylvius, washes the pineal gland and enhances the neurochemical communication through the endocrine system. This, folks, is right here. This is the battery. It was a pot, okay? And then they had these nodes that went down into it. They were made of metal, like a copper, and they could put lemon juice inside this or some acidic thing, and they could create a battery out of it. No joke. This is so this is kind of hard to see, but this is the charred granite on top of Mount Horeb. I've talked about this before, but you could see the rocks are still burnt on top of Mount Horeb from this incident. This gets really cool here, guys and gals. So this was this shows the pineal gland in rodents, and it shows the pineal gland in humans during the midnight oil witching hour. Okay, there is no "so help me God" in the Constitution from which George Washington derived his first sworn oath as a president. In other words, George Washington never said "so help me God." That was something they made up after. And according to the journals of the Continental Congress, George uttered no such prefix to the oath, as witness inscribed by the Senate and sworn upon the large Mason Bible. An interesting highlight is how Chancellor and/or Grand Master Livingston shouted the monarchical, "Long live George Washington, President of the United States." This is mentioned in light of the Crown testimony herein. There's a second oath of office, apparently, and they have been spoken in one breath. The place for the April 30th event is called Federal Hall, doubling for the New York Chamber of Commerce, Wall Street, and also St. John's Lodge. Hopefully the reader, the listener, coalesces why the Masons are hereby notified. Now, this is the document that was placed in there on January. I can read this better on this screen than I can on the other screen. Geez, that's really hard to read, guys. So I might have to reduce this just to read it. But anyway, this is just a mentioning of what had happened, and this is the inauguration, basically saying the same thing. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see it better on the screen than you can on mine, because mine just separates these words. So this was from, this here is was published in a book, okay? Washington rode over the highway in 1790. Now, mind you, this is one of the milestones at Van Pelt Manor. Now, Van Pelt Manor, David Merrill Van Pelt, okay? So Van Pelt Manor is there's a Van Pelt Historical Society as well. So Washington rode over okay, there's more to this. I'll get to it. You guys are going to see that there's a whole bill of exchange for where the New York Stock Exchange was. That was created, and David is related to many of the families or many of the people that settled here in this land, whatever that means, because it was kind of stolen from everyone, because the people that lived here first were the ones that had to be moved out. So this is an account of that. Washington rode over the old highway in 1790 and was greeted by Utrecht. Okay, so it was Utrecht. It used to be New York is Utrecht by the village people. There was a great excitement when word came that the general was shortly to arrive, George Washington. From the little schoolhouse near Van Pelt Manor, the school children were hustled home for fresh linen and face washings and hair combings, and they were quickly marched back, dressed in new clothes and company manners, for the great George Washington would pass their way. At last, after many anxious scannings of the road, they saw him riding toward the little schoolhouse, and the children lined up and waited until he approached. Little Peter Van Pelt, which was one of David's family members, relatives, blood, was on the end of the line, and he was the last boy to whom George Washington spoke. And to the little Peter he spoke very tall, and he came near to him and laid his hand on Peter's head. "Be a good boy, my son," said Washington, "and you will be a good man." Little Peter Van Pelt probably remembered this admonition, but how far it shaped his life's course is not known. He did grow up to be a good and a great man, entered the ministry, and achieving fame throughout the country. When Washington died, Peter Van Pelt delivered a sermon wherein he extolled the great general and president, and this sermon was printed in something like a 12-page leaflet. Only a short time ago, a single copy of the discourse was sold for $500. The Van Pelts were stanch to the American cause during the days of the Revolution. The Rem Van Pelt and his brother Ert were arrested, and there's more to that story. But so this is the Historical Society. Van Pelt milestone is preserved in Brooklyn Historical Society. This history journey expands our memory through DNA back to 1629 Charter for Patroons, and you're going to see this. Article 6 of the Perpetual Inheritance. The charter was cited on the Bill of Exchange served on Richard Grasso, then chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, this is 30 days before September 11th, 2001. Okay, so exactly 30 days to the cure, this happened and 9/11 happened. Okay, so August 11th, 2001, they received service on the 30-day cure. When it was up, 9/11 happened, and all those records disappeared. So the gold Caesar in 1933 may be an earlier template. FDR played upon the fear of the Great Depression. Additionally, I've leveraged murder with these evidence repositories twice. First, the Core Rebellion, where El Shaddai, through the agent Moses, murdered 150 families and buried them in a ditch simply for questioning Moses' agency. Second was FDR murdering his attorney general for holding the Trading with the Enemy Act illegal to use against bogus war on the Great Depression. Currently, laws hold no statute of limitations about murder. This is just saying the Trading with the Enemy Act. I was told the president, however, that I believe that he had such authority under the Trading with the Enemy Act. I understood it to be the belief of the president that while some of his advisors had told him that he could do this, others told him that it would not be legal. I had already asked Senator Thomas J. Walsh, who was about to have become my attorney general, to give me a report on such presidential authority, as Senator Walsh had died suddenly. However, on March 2nd or 21st, or I can't see what that is, March 2nd, I had asked well, anyway, that's the end of the page. In Egypt, Joseph traded on inside information about an upcoming drought to acquire what sounds like the total of Mesopotamia's, including Canaan's Israel gold, or Canaan's Israel, which was gold, Canaan's gold. The elongated skull brain capacity is carried inheritance by mitochondrial DNA, meaning for this feature to continue heritage, it involves incest. In other words, if you get somebody with an elongated skull, you have to have them to breed with somebody else with an elongated skull in order to keep elongated skulls in your family. Otherwise, when you have an interracial with no elongated skull, then it goes away. It involves incest. Hints are that Moses' wife Miriam is easily confused with his sister and mother. So Enki and Enlil, okay? These are Enki and Enlil and the depictions. Additionally, Abraham and Sarah were half-siblings, the point being half-brothers. Enlil and Enki squabbled over the hanging gardens of Babylon. Enki being older than Enlil, having the older mother and carrying the more predominant genius. Like David failing Goliath, Enki had already lost the feature in his breeding. This is more of the depictions. No elongated skull. Please keep in mind that King James imported rectified Scottish Rite Freemasonry into England as the state religion. We find in general that the God of the Holy Bible is Enki, while the Lord is Enlil. The sons of God, however, are Cain's lineage found in the book of Enoch. Chapter 6, while the sons of man are descended from Seth. This distinction is key for correct interpretation of the Bible as Mesopotamian history, and to grasp the publishing up and rehydrating the pyramids will generate global harmonic resonance. So this is from Morals and Dogma, or I'm sorry, Draconis. This is from the Draconis, and these are pages. There's some more pages here from Morals and Dogma. Above is a formal link to the imperial and royal dragon court sovereignty as principle on notice of this cause. This Mesopotamian heritage predates the Bible. Refreshing telomeres, renewing the mind is in everlasting eternal life through the sex magic menstruum. Viable human fetal stem cells and olfactory fibers connected directly to the frontal lobes, enticing DNA racial memory. Drink of my blood and eat of my flesh. Pituitary gland growth hormones in breast milk. Renewal of the mind. Now, this is a bill of exchange that was served upon the New York Stock Exchange, which 30 days to that maturity was 9/11. So, I mean, you guys, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's awfully ironic, right? An association of symbols validates claim. The Bishop of Rome, Pope, can only lay claim through a self-administered pineal. Pine cone is manna, found in the Vatican Plaza. So he's putting notice out there that he's in charge of the pine cone, the manna. Treaty of 1213 before the Knights Templar, which would, of course, be a setup for a false capture with King John signing the Magna Carta only 2 years following. Castle Church, for the redemption of the office bishop, is attuned to this order. Now, this is Bishop Castle. You guys will see this. You'll see that if you've ever been to Colorado, there's a place called Bishop Castle that's south of Colorado Springs that is an amazing castle, and Jim Bishop is the guy that created this thing, and he built it all by hand, and he did it all himself. No one would help him, and there was no way to get stuff out there. So the guy, there's a video about it on YouTube, but there's a guy that, like his son, I think, his son took an account of all this stuff. But they took video of this guy doing this, and it got so big, and you'll see pictures of it here in just a second. It got to be so big that he went and had to create like additional like leverage ways that he could hook to the truck. He hooked a truck to this hoist and then connected whatever he was lifting up, and then drove the truck away, and then it lifted it all the way up, and then he'd climb up and pull the stuff up. It got so high. You guys will see. It's pretty amazing. The Bishop of Rome Pope can only lay. So basically, which of course would be a setup for false capture. For the redemption of office of the bishop is attuned to this order. Bishop of Rome being focused of St. Paul establishment of Rome protective custody. Paul spent the last 5 years of his life in fear of prison of treason against the Jewish Sanhedrin. Castle Church is oriented around forgiveness, and no debt can exist past redemption. Now you're going to see then the El Shaddai, Enlil, I am that I am, YHVH, Lord of King James I of England's King James Version 1611 translation used by the Masons, including in 1789 for George Washington's inauguration. Utilized the fear of annihilation to get the gold back into Enlil's Mesopotamian regime. A two-stage extortion plan of global conquest. Calls the Tabernacle Math Fibonacci series. This is the golden mean foundation and sacred geometry of the Southern Jurisdiction Lodge under notice. Recall King James I was formerly King James VI of Scotland, all when the House of Stuart flourished. I'm also descended from Christopher Wren, who united the Grand Lodge. More interestingly to the Albany remand, though, is how Wren, who's also sailed to the New World, were Wren sailors. Wren sailor, right here, folks. My Dutch claim on Wall Street in the U.S. District Court, Albany Courthouse. The only thing I say about this is that it's a Dutch claim, and, like, where did the Dutch people get it from? Like, there were people here before the Dutch sailed over here and got it. So that's the people it belongs to, really. The Brooklyn placard describes Van Pelt Manor. Okay, and there's some information on it. Being the internet might have inaccuracies. This notice will be copied to the Hungarian National Judicial Council for the Hungarian Honorary Consulate in Liverpool, also to the United Nations Secretary General and the International Monetary Funds Club de Paris. As first trustee, the Redeemer, my interest is to protect the good faith and credit of the United States, the Federal Reserve, and the United States of America as beneficiary. In all honesty, the central banks of the world should know about this bond dodging for the collection processes for America and the Crown displayed openly in the USA and Canada. See, it's not bond dodging, it's a trust. The first stage of the Mosaic gold heist, Burning Bush, was the infused Moses' third ventricle aqueduct of Silvius with the monatomic colloidal gold, while his son Aaron crafted the golden calf of foil over wood. This enhanced communication of pineal activity is depicted as the glowing halo around Moses' head. You see these halos, the pictures that they used to paint, shocking the Israelites into believing Enlil, El Shaddai, was a supernatural god. The mysterious appearances of a burning mountaintop and cleverly disclosing Enlil's freakish appearance convinced the Israelites that they were dealing with a supernatural being at Mount Horeb in Sinai. Same thing they're going to try to pull on people, that some dude is coming back to save everybody, and just chill out. You guys just need to be patient, man. It's all in the plan. Like, all you got to do is, look, here's the deal. Sign up. Go get your membership. Not to my stuff. Okay, this is what they're telling everybody. Sign up. Go get your membership. As long as you have that membership when dude comes down, then you're going to be good. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. You just got to make sure you sign up and become a member before that happens. And then once you're a member, you give up all of everything else you had. I'm not going to be specific on this, but I'm telling you, you gave up all that you had. You waived what you had for this new thing that you just consented to. That's what happens. And you don't even know you did it. So a different history book describes the same of office from a Masonic perspective. Okay, here's where it says right here, long live George Washington, President of the United States. That was the April of 1789 in the, I don't know, proceedings, whatever. This is the record of it. And the Chancellor, proclaimed, right? So he's a chancellor. A different history book describes the same. The mathematics can be convincing. So the heliacal rising of Sirius, this is the Fibonacci sequence. You guys can see how it starts right here, and it goes around and around. See how it goes around here and here, and it goes here. That's what it looks like. That's a Fibonacci sequence. It starts out with the cube sum number lock. So that starts right here, guys. And I can't get there. It starts right here. Okay? Starts right up there, and it moves around. See, this is where it starts. Now, you got to know that this is the sequence right here. 1 plus 2 equals 3, plus 2 equals 5, plus 5 equals 8. See, that's how they keep getting it. Okay? Do you see the answer? 3, 5, 8. And it just keeps going up and up. Okay? So this is what happens when you do that. When you create this math, you create these little squares. And then when you connect the squares, see how this is moving inside the square? It's moving inside this square, and it inside of a bigger square, inside of a bigger square, inside of a bigger square, and now you're moving into a much bigger square, inside of a bigger square, inside of a bigger square. That's what it does. So it's just, you're creating that. And then you've got, of course, lovely, right? 1629 and 1630. 371 and 370 years point to 9/11 of 2001. Okay? So the patent of 1630. You're going to see this. The patent of 1630 points to the day to the Bill of Exchange. Redemption and global forgiveness of debt. 30-day judgment brought down September 11th, 2001, precisely to the day. This is the actual record of proprietors of Rensselaer Wick. In the name of God, amen. This is the second day of April, A 14th, the 74. 1470 or 1674. So 1674, April. I don't know what that is, but April A 1674. Henry Outgers by the Honorable Court of Holland admitted to notary public resident in Amsterdam, and the undersigned witness appeared Mr. Jacob Perkins, Hans Botemel, and Nicholas Van Beck, directors of the Incorporated West India Company, in the chamber in this city, appointed herein for the affairs of New Netherland and by their associates to what is hereinafter set forth, especially by resolution of the 19th March 1674, empowered, making known and declaring, whereas the patroon and co-directors of Rensselaer Wick and New Netherland aforesaid by the virtue of the patent dated 13 August 1630 were declared owners of the lands, buildings, and plantations situated along the North River more fully towards the letters patent and the consequence patroon and masters of the hamlet first called D.E. I'm not going to say it because I'll screw it up on purpose. F-U-Y-C-K. Okay. Afterwards, Berwick and New Williamstad, whereabouts Fort Orange is built. And after the above named hamlet, Bensrick or Bearsrick was taken possession by the director of the above named company, Patroon Rensselaer, and other directors and partners already in the year 1452 and further from the time. So August 13th, 1630 is 370 years from 2001. This is the bill of exchange that was filed in this date, okay? It was served on proof of service on the stock exchange, and it was 30 days from the date of cure. So 9/11 happened exactly 30 days after that. The bill of exchange is cured by waiver of tort according to the New York Municipal Code, curing the world of SARS. See, so what happened was this record was made, and if the records have existed in, I don't know. I don't even know why, because it's in law. That's why. I'm going to tell you that's it, because it's in law. The bill of exchange is cured by waiver of tort according to the New York Municipal Code, curing the world of SARS. So that's another thing. SARS was, David had done some work. He's a electrical engineer, I believe. Electronics engineer. That's what he is, electronics engineer. And so the pentagram cut Sherry Topaz and the double-headed eagle describes the mind of Dan. First, it's a serpent emblem, Draco dragon, and then adopting the eagle. Note the Department of Defense note and initials. The capital integration is unity in Christ. The only inscription found at Rosalind Chapel is atop the apprentice pillar, which looks like the ratcheted dodecahedron spiral of DNA, which translates to wine is strong, the king is stronger, woman is the strongest, above all is truth. This is Jim Rowland. So Jim Rowland built Bishop Castle, and this is just some documents. This is a trust registration statement that was made for land that he had that was in trust, and the state of Colorado tried to take that. James Rowland acknowledged the confluence of our heritage in the acquisitions of 9/11. Cube sum number lock 153. Remember 153 fish? They said throw your net over the right side of the boat, and you will catch 153 fish. That's what it said. Oops, I've screwed that up. I'm going to have to do it like this. Sorry for my bad writing, okay? So April 15th, 1861 commenced hostilities, and the 7th Jubilee followed suit, beginning in 2014 and sealed on Yom Kippur of 2016. The Trading with the Enemy Act was omitted from the Bankers' Code at that time. The symbol of peace carries with the ancient order of the dragon, and it verifies the ministerial visitation of Castle Church and the capital integration. So this is a warranty deed to trustee for that same thing. This is Castle Church, Bishop Castle, mandatory exception. And then they filed it, and they just basically said, look, you know what? You're assuming that this is it's a 501c3. It's a 508c1 under Title 26. So you guys got it wrong. That's all it says. So certification of acknowledgement on Article 28, and it just says what the rules are under that particular trust. The Black Madonna and Magdalene play no small role, and Merlin too. So this is Bishop Castle. This is what it looks like. This Jim Rowland built this thing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Now, I'm a chicken shit. Pardon my French, but I am. I'm chicken, guys. Like, I don't mind going on stuff. I just don't like going high on things when I don't have any way of stopping when I fall. Because who's going to do the open mic if I'm not here, right? So this is what Bishop Castle looks like, and you guys can see why I almost pooped in my pants on more than one occasion, because this is crazy. Like, this thing is amazing. This guy built every single thing by hand. Okay, notice there's a dragon that sticks out in this too. You guys will see. I'll show you here. See the dragon right here? Look at this. He built this thing. You believe this? Like, I tried to walk out on these things right here. These things are like trestles that he built by hand. He built every one of these by hand. Every one of these. See these things? He welded all these things by hand. That man you see laying on the ground, every one of these stones he placed by hand. By hand. Every one of them. Look at this. Is this not amazing? This place is amazing too. The amount due may be calculated in the Albany remand by claims forms. David Merrill is first trustee by Treasury check of $20 million to David Merrill, UPS. Now, I'm actually number 13 on here, and I'll show you in the next document. You'll see that I got to be number 13. This was the original. So this is interesting, guys. This is really pretty cool. So this is El Paso County. This is where in Colorado, where I told you guys yesterday that I was dealing with a bad actor that didn't have a valid oath, and this is one of the accounts. This is one of them down there. But what they did was David had tracked down bonds directly that went directly to state of corporate Colorado Capital Finance Corporation, This is the business name of it. Okay. Now he went and did a UCC lien. Okay. He was filing a lien on this for the state of Colorado. Okay. State of Colorado Capital Finance Corporation. Okay. And what he did was he put the information that was necessary in there. He put the stamp on there, and then he put the information on what he was trying to do. So in dishonor, Jonathan Suthers, okay, that's one of the judges or one of the attorneys here, immediately once he went and did this UCC financing statement to create that he had a lien for $20 million, dissolved the state of Colorado Capital Finance Corporation shortly after it was published. And this is the past due notice. And it was mailed to Mnuchin, U.S. courts, Rectified Scottish Rite Freemasonry, National Judicial Council, Hungarian courts. This is where my stuff went when I was incarcerated. United Nations, Club de Paris. Those were the notified parties. This is another one. This is so this is a claim. They did a claim for $3,925 based upon damages, and they said, well, you don't have any claim. So under the administrative offices of the United States courts, we can't get any remedy. There's no remedy in the law. That's why I told you guys there is no remedy in law. You can't get remedy in law because it doesn't exist. So this is I'm just going to keep going a little bit further here. I want you guys to see. Okay, so Canadians. This is good for Canadians. So this is Doc 32, page 38 of 61. If you want it, I'll send it to you, Canada. You just got to let me know, okay? This is an oath of office for Canada because Canada is they're in the same jurisdiction we are, guys. Robert George Bigelow, okay? Look what Robert does. Here's what it says. So help me God. Cool, right? Awesome. We love that, right? That's a good oath of office. Following is Crown law. The only sense I can make of the judicial officers in Canada are not under legislative authority of the Parliament of Canada. Therefore, there is no bonding, especially for the bonding principle is hidden in secret. Also, the most current oath is 1993. And so the office has long been vacated. The hypothesis fits well into the Bruno case, New Westminster, the case that negates Crown jurisdiction in a vast majority of Canadian prosecutions. The interesting page of the transcript is found below. Now, this is what the oath says. It says it has to say, so help me God. You see that? So help me God, upper lowercase. Okay? This is what it says. So help me God, upper lowercase. Okay? And it tells them specifically what they're supposed to do. All right. Now, so here's a little transcript. This is Bruno. Okay. It seems to me that at this point in time, I have no further alternative. And I might say that with great reluctance that I come to this decision, but based upon the law and the application of the law, as my personal views on this matter are totally irrelevant, that it is my responsibility to apply the law as I see it, that I can do no other than conclude that there was no standing by the federal crown at the commencement of the trial in these proceedings. They didn't have jurisdiction. And this was putting it on behalf of the government of Canada. Thank you, Your Honor. That was Mr. Kennedy, the court. Now what do you want me to do? The judge says that. I want you to dismiss the charges and expunge his record. That was the attorney. Miss Osborne, I don't know that I have much of a choice. Crown will not be will be calling evidence. Obviously, if we have no standing, I don't know that I can even stand up at this point. Your Honor, I have to leave it in the court's hands. All right. Do you understand that that just said that they can't stand up when they don't have jurisdiction? You understand that, right? I hope you understand what they just said. I have to leave it in the court's hands. All right. I'm going to dismiss the charges. Thank you, Your Honor. It's a great day for British Columbians. I'm not going to comment. Well, I am because I'm a British Columbian. This, of course, seals the bond dodging as international, at least in the Western world of jurisprudence. Here we all reminded that Albany clerk Behrman had his online biography replaced with the advertisement for his replacement upon filing this cause. In other words, this case was Okay, so he had a biography online on the judicial website. This case was filed, and he removed the biography from there because it was fraud. From what I saw to testify, Behrman attempted to garnish as USA versus sealed defendant names, but was threatened by Judge Kahn, whose oath is refused for cause below. Behrman is now replaced by Clerk of Court Dom Urad. So they changed the clerks up in the middle. And this clerk replacement is the only small part of the overall fraud and bond dodging. Notice is given to the boys at the 33rd in hopes that there's some hidden or secret principal somewhere with control of the purse strings. If these claims can be immediately settled, then according to the new laws of the courts of the United States, all jurisdiction for this prosecution will be lost, and the alternative central banking will be aware of the bond dodging or risk management, security, and confidence building measures. So one of the best aware that Victor Wolski in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims has confessed to altering the oath. And this is another one. He went on and on to say how ridiculous it is. The court still fails to understand the unusual theory of Mr. Merrill concerning the typeface used to print "So Help Me God" on the certificate memorializing the office of notice. It is odd that Mr. Merrill professes concern over the use of capital letters while failing to recognize that the phrase is actually small capitals on the certificate for the undersigned, and thus God and God should mean the same. Moreover, the certificate merely memorializes the oath, including the invocation to God as witness, taken by the undersigned orally in an open court. As someone who takes oaths, and in particular the oath of office, very seriously, the court will not tolerate any further disrespectful conduct on the part of Mr. Merrill. The other submission is his peculiar document to which Mr. Merrill appears to take exception to the printing of "So Help Me God" using small capital letters. Instead, lowercase letters on the certificate memorializing the oath of office taken by the undersigned. Plaintiff's idiosyncratic interpretation of the use of capital letters makes no sense, as the court cannot see how typeface changes the meaning of the phrase. You see, it says the court cannot see. Well, yeah, can the court see it all? He didn't say he couldn't see. He didn't say he couldn't see. He said the court cannot see. Why can't the court see? The court can't see because of the status. Because the status falls under a different status. So let's start here. To avoid wasting time in the court, it is said that plaintiff should confine his submissions to papers that are material, relevant, and pertinent to his case. So as a ward, you need to submit ward stuff. The second document received on December 16th, entitled Update, document cites and dismisses the order dated docket number 10, and thus Mr. Merrill will not be excused for failing to move for leave to file it. In addition, apparently due to his unusual theory about the significance of the phrase "So Help Me God" being printed on the small capitals on an oath of office certificate throughout this document, Mr. Merrill refers to the undersigned using only a surname. Whatever his disputes with other judges as a litigant in this court, Mr. Merrill must conduct himself with proper decorum. This disrespect implied in his manner of referencing the undersigned would justify disregarding the paper were it a brief. In Rule 5.4A1 of the Rules of United States Court of Federal Claims, and striking the document where pleading the same claims, 12F1, that the clerk is directed to return the document to the plaintiff. So this is Castle Church. Again, Judiciary Act of 1789. "So Help Me God" was changed to "So Help Me God." Again, look at "So Help Me God." You guys see that? Okay. Now you're going to see an appointment affidavit. I'm going to show you this. Now this is where I'm going to end the program here because we've gone way over, but I'm going to show you guys on the appointment affidavit here where it says, okay, so the appointment affidavit at the very bottom, this is where it says, the oath of office must be administered by a person specified in 5 U.S.C. 2393. The word "So Help Me God," do you see how it is in upper and lower case, is the oath, and the word "swear," whenever it appears above, should be stricken, and when appropriate, elects to affirm rather than swear to the affidavits. Okay, I'm not going to go any further because I can't read that. The notary note reveals the insidious nature of the deviation of the oaths. Wolski chose to swear, but obviously, as a trained attorney, knew the oath is invalid because it has been altered. The notary note explains how important it is that the oath remain intact in proper form. So this guy in this order is trying to say that, oh, that's ridiculous that you say it's that way. Then you go and look at their own documentation that says it has to be this way. So help me God. And then you go back to the document and you say, it's this way and it's wrong. It's just wrong, folks. You can't make that right. The notary note shows and it proves that it's right, okay? The appointment affidavit, at the bottom, it says what it's supposed to be. And the appointment affidavit says, so help me God. You see that right there? So help me God. That's upper and lower case. It's not a symbol. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it on page 47 of 61. Today's Thursday, so I'm going to see you guys again on, well, I'll see you on Sunday. I'll see you guys in class on Sunday. If you guys are interested in learning how to get out of this system, get with us and find out how to get into Sunday's class, because you're going to need to learn how to get out. And I'm going to show you from beginning to end and no holds barred. I'm going to just show you guys, and we're going to go over a lot of stuff, and you're going to learn a lot. So get involved, get in touch with us. You can go to the website, and I'm going to stop sharing here, but you can go to the website, and you can find that stuff there. I got to exit the full screen here. And you can go to the website right there, and that will give you guys everything that you need. And, well, I appreciate you guys very much for coming out and hearing this story. It's a really long story. I'm not gonna lie, like, it really is. It's a pretty good story, but it's kind of sad too in its own way. But you know, it's like an experience, and you guys got to see it kind of firsthand. So thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate you very much. And with that, I yield.